All I'm doing is braiding Cassidy. Most people do it for show riding, jumping, barrel racing. I'm just doing it for fun today, but it'll help them keep cool, beautiful. The place I learned this from was my ex-girlfriend. She was in beauty school. We were together for almost a year, and then we split up because her family didn't like me all that much, but she taught me how to braid and do nails, so. I was about 10 years old, maybe even less than that. I might even have been like 7. I hated sleeping up in our room because the room that we had when I was younger was always scary, and it wasn't for me. I hated sleeping up in it. And I was moving between houses, and I normally never had a room, and when I did, I wouldn't sleep up in it, so. Most of my life was spent either on a couch or in a recliner chair, sleeping. My name is Bradley Henley. I'm 23 years old. I used to hang out with all the bad kids growing up. I was hanging out with them one day. I was probably about 12 or 13 years old. While the one kid that was there with me while I was sleeping put a needle in my arm. It ended up being heroin. Ever since that day, I was hooked on to heroin, not by my own choice, but by his. But I kept it going, you know. I would still hang out with them just to get my fix, just to, you know, get high and go home eventually a couple days later or whatever, and then have to deal with all that bull crap.
He's a mess. He was a mess. His environment that he grew up in was less than what it needed to be. His parents were fighting, arguing. They would involve him. And as a child, he was carrying the burden of his parents arguing and fighting, and, you know, and that's not something that any child should have to carry. He turned to the next thing that made him validate and feel good. You know, that's whenever he started into the weed, and then the weed, you know, and then he just progressed from there.
He doesn't have the luxury of thinking about his future. Every day is about survival, you know. He had a difficult childhood, and he had to deal with throat cancer as a baby, and then as he got older, you know, there was some alcoholism in the family, there was a divorce, and then, you know, he was diagnosed with ADHD, and they put him on meds, they made him heavy, and then, you know, when you're overweight, there's a lot of abuse that goes on from the kids and people around you. Your self-esteem goes down, and then he was charged with babysitting his 5-year-old sister, and he laid down for a nap, and the cousin was there, and, you know, the cousin abused her while he was sleeping, and, you know, he woke up to a very angry father, and so he carries this guilt around. From there became, you know, the anger. He got into a lot of fights, you know, which got him in trouble with the law, and got him kicked out of school.
Over time, I just kept getting angrier and angrier, and then I started doing this thing where I would go live with my aunt, or I'd go live somewhere else, or stay a few days here, stay a few days there. I kind of had too much freedom as a kid.
I always felt like we were a little bit more of a safe haven for him. Like, whenever he would get in trouble, he would run to us. The only attention he would really get would be negative attention. When he was doing bad and he was being negative, that's when his parents showed him the most attention. But when he was positive and he was on the right track and he was doing, he didn't exist. Bradley's heart is bigger than his brain. Growing up, every time he would even get $1 in his pocket, it was always, you know, I pay, so we nicknamed him like Bradley I Pay. He wants the best for everybody, but sometimes the thought process doesn't connect.
15 years old, I ended up getting into some serious trouble with fighting all the time and skipping school, so they told me I had to go on to probation. And part of my community service was going out to the ranch. Well, when I started going out there, she bought me a bunch of clothes and stuff for the wintertime. And without them, I probably would still be messing up, so.
We founded this ranch about 13 years ago. And our goal was to help kids. And by bringing in rescue horses and pairing them up with kids that are in crisis, you know, our goal is to cultivate some hope and some groundwork for some healing to happen. The horse and human connection, I don't think I can explain it. You just have to experience it. They're just amazing, resilient animals. They reflect your feelings. They show you who you are, you know?
Yeah, I used to train this horse named Lego. He was a mean horse. He didn't like people. He didn't like to listen. He was stubborn as hell. And that's how I was, you know, always stubborn, didn't like to listen. He was identical to me, and at first, when I first met him, I didn't want to go near him because he was a crazy horse. But over time, I realized, you know, I'm a crazy dude, so that horse has no reason to scare me, because if anything, I should be scaring him, you know?
When you have a child who's been physically or sexually abused, you know, and you're working with a horse, you teach that child about boundaries. You have a 1,000-pound animal that could crush you, that can step on you, can really maim you. And so you have to teach that child that there are boundaries, there's safety boundaries, so that when they go back and they ever get into a situation where they're going to be abused again, that there are boundaries, that they can say no, they can stop, they can walk away. A lot of times, you know, when they can empower themselves and they know that they have the power to say no to this horse, you know, get back out of my space, it gives them the assertiveness that they need, you know, to protect themselves.
Come on.
He dealt with a lot the best that he knew how, the only way he knew how, and it caused him to get into a lot of trouble. And I'm kind of glad he did at first, because I would have never met him. When we came here, he just needed community service, and that was all I could do for him. I paid attention. I noticed things about him that I don't think people did. I noticed how hard he worked, how he never said no to me, and I always told him, thank you. And I see him trying to fight, and I want to help him as much as I can, you know, because I think he can be very, very successful about it.
Without them, I'd still probably be drinking and partying and doing all types of drugs. And in the end of the day, they became more of a family to me than they did friends.
Usually. He doesn't usually do that, which is really funny. That's funny. Just like this long is good.
Like that?
Uh-huh. That's good. Yeah, the kids that come to the ranch. We do this in the summertime. I make the soup, and I introduce them to the soup, and then I bring the mix back there, and I show them how to make their own spring rolls back there. They actually roll them and make them, and they love them. So every time they come back every month, they beg me for more. So it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, and Brad didn't have a job at the time, so I thought, okay, bring him over, and he can help me roll them and deep fry them, and it's just very, very helpful. And that's the way Brad is. Very, very helpful.
Until you have two people help it.
He's never said no to me. I could give him the dirtiest, nastiest job, and he never says no to me. I have a proposal for you. The toilet back at the barn is clogged. So if you are not working, I'll find out from Jim what day needs done. Do you think you can help hand dig?
Yeah.
You know, if you do, and I will gladly pay you for it, okay? But I'll have to find out from him what day it is.
Yeah, you know me. I'll come out and help
Okay, as long as, well, your work is your priority, but they haven't notified you yet?
I haven't even been notified or anything yet.
Okay. And he's doing his part trying to get a job, but nobody wants to give him a job because he doesn't have a diploma, no high school diploma. 2 DUIs.
I had a DUI and a corruption of minors. I ended up violating my probation. by getting a second DUI, and I got 3.5 months in jail.
He had 3 months to think about his whole life and realize all the mistakes he made, you know, and he had a lot of time like, okay, what got me here? And he reflected on that, and I think he's just had enough. He's had enough of living in trauma and stress. I think he wants that good life. That's why he wants the change. He has a really good chance now.
Right now they're baling hay up there. And after that's all baled, it already got raked up. We're gonna pick it up, put it onto the wagons, and then after we put them onto the wagons, we're gonna bring them back down to the barn, unload them. Probably do that about 3 more times. Turn it off! Watch yourself. This thing is called Hastings. Glad you got gloves on. Need gloves? I don't need gloves. I'm alright. Yeah, my plan in the future is really, well, first I want to start that construction business, and then I want to focus on getting my own place and my own car, you know. And after I have them 3, I mean, whatever, you know, whatever happens, happens after that.
How old are you, Amelia?
2. Freshly. August 17th.
I definitely wouldn't want her to end up sleeping off the couch like I did most of my life. Hopefully I can do everything we can to make her happy, so make her have a good life, all the toys she wants, spoil her, so.
Well, I was thinking, I had to listen to my earbuds when we were running, so I won't hear you mad in there.
Give me a hug. Give me a kiss.
Signs of joy.
Give me a hug.
Thank you.